Sharif Cooper was one of the most electrifying point guards that the high school level has ever seen. And to go along with that, while he was in high school, he built up a huge fan base because people fell in love with him so easily. He was a great and humble dude, and of course, he was great at basketball, so what's there not to like? Sharif immediately, within the span of a couple of years, didn't just become one of the most known names in high school basketball, but he became one of the most known names in all of basketball. Then, when he went to college, the hype and attention that was surrounding him only got bigger and better, and he lived up to the expectations. Every question and every doubt that anyone had about him, he shut them up, and he proved that he can play and compete at the next level. Fast forward in time to our current date, he's now in the NBA and it's only up from here. But however, with all that being said, a lot of people have forgotten, and most people don't even know, that Sharif has a twin brother. Yes, that's right, you heard it correctly. Sharif Cooper has a twin brother, and I know what some of you may be thinking. Oh, we probably haven't heard of him because he doesn't play sports or he doesn't play basketball. But that's wrong. He also plays basketball. This is a very odd and strange situation, to say the least. Most times when famous players have brothers or siblings, you hear about them, especially if they play the same sport. But in this prime example, we have a case where Sharif has a brother that plays basketball, and not just any brother, but a twin brother. There's a lot, and I mean a lot, of strange things with this story. So therefore, it leaves us with the questions today. What happened to Sharif Cooper's twin brother, and where's he now? What's good, y'all? Hope you're having a blessed day. Just wanted to drop by and say, if you like content like this or you want to see more story videos like this, drop a like, hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed, and without further ado, let's get into this video. When you have a brother, and a twin brother at that, most people are going to know about it. And that's not even talking about if you're a famous athlete. If you do make it big time, almost everybody's gonna know your family members. What makes this story so intriguing is that Sharif's brother and twin brother is really good at basketball too, but he gets no love, and it's almost like he doesn't exist. I made a video on Sharif's brother and this situation over roughly a year ago, and we've gained a ton of new subscribers since then, and for some reason I've had a couple of you guys DM me on Instagram wanting to see a recap and an update on Sharif's brother. And hey, I think it's a great idea, and I'm all here for it because quite frankly, I want to know what's going on with him, so I did my research. When I made the video over a year ago, I thought once Sharif did get to the NBA that more people would acknowledge his brother, but I was wrong. And then to top that off, and what makes this story even more mysterious and bizarre, is that there's a bunch of people that think this is a lie and Sharif doesn't have a brother. His brother's name is Omar Cooper, and when I made the video talking about it a year ago, people were saying that this was false. So I guess I need to clarify all this again. Everything we're talking about in this video is the real deal. I'm not saying he's his twin because they look alike. It's for real. Before I get too amped up and excited, I don't want to spoil anything. You guys are in for a treat, so let's get into it. Meet Omar Cooper. And let me clarify it for the 1000th time. Yes, this is Sharif's twin brother. Some people refer to him as Omar Cooper Jr. because his dad's first name is Omar too, and Sharif Cooper's middle name is also Omar. So we got a lot of Omars in one family. To break it down even more, Sharif goes by Sharif, Sharif's dad, Omar, goes by Omar, and then you have Sharif's brother who goes by Omar too. With them being twin brothers too, you can also assume that they were in the same class in high school, and yes, they were. Both of the Coopers were in the class of 2020. We know Sharif was a highly regarded prospect, so what happened to Omar? And oh yeah, too, I almost forgot about this, but a lot of people have the question, if they are real brothers and they are twins, why didn't they play on the same high school team? And we're going to get into that because there's a reason. And right there too, that's what also makes this story even more weirder, because you rarely see brothers not play on the same high school team. It doesn't make any sense. With Sharif and Omar going into their 9th grade year, which is their freshman season, they went two separate paths. Sharif wound up deciding to go to McEachern High School, which is in Powder Springs, Georgia, and Omar went to a different school. The school that Omar decided to go to was called the Walker High School, and that was in Marietta, Georgia. Even though we're in the very beginning of this story, this is arguably the most important part, so pay attention. The elephant already that's in the room is this question: why didn't they go to the same high school? It was very complicated, and there's still, even till this day, unanswered questions, but here's what we know. Going into their freshman season, you had Omar, who was roughly 5'8", 5'9", and you had Sharif, who was roughly 5'8", 5'9". And the school that Sharif was going to was a very good program and a very good high school, and they play some of the best competition. The biggest problem about this is that Sharif loved the point guard position, and he was a true point guard, and he wasn't going to play the shooting guard position. And for Omar Cooper, it was relatively the same thing. You had two guys who both are point guards and want to play the point guard position, but obviously you can't have two point guards on one team. Omar could have went to Sharif's high school and been a backup point guard, but nobody wants to do that, especially in high school. It was a very tricky situation, but to make a long story short, they decided to part ways. That way Omar could be the starting point guard at his high school, and Sharif could be the starting point guard at his school as well. And honestly, at the time, you can't fault the brothers because it seemed like the best fit. In Omar's first year as a freshman, he put up very good numbers. He averaged over 8 points a game, 4.5 assists, and 2.5 rebounds. As a freshman, that's really not too bad, but for Sharife Cooper, it was slightly different. He was way better. In Sharif's freshman season, he averaged 16 points per game and over 4 assists and led his team to a 29-1 overall record. I don't want to spend too much time talking about Sharif's high school career because we know how it played out. He continued to get better and better, and his numbers increased. We're here to focus on Omar, so let's talk about his sophomore season. We are now in the time frame of 2017 through 18, and he improved his numbers and he looked good. He led his team to a 19-9 overall record, which is really good, and averaged 10.9 points per game, 4.2 assists, and roughly 3 rebounds. As a 10th grader for the varsity team, not bad at all, and I'd say that's really good. So the question is still lingering around. Why was nobody giving Omar any love? Should Omar have gotten some more hype? Yes, I believe that 100%. The older they got though, what really hurt Omar is that Sharif started to separate himself from the pack. Omar wasn't playing bad by any means, and he was still a good basketball player, but Sharif was that much better than everyone else. And when you are as good as Sharif was, especially at the high school level, nobody's going to talk about anyone else. All eyes are on you. I don't even know if I can put it into words of how big of a figure and superstar Sharif was for high schoolers. He was that guy. He wasn't on the level of LeBron James, but for a 6-foot point guard, he was about as high as you can get. In our story as to when I'm speaking in the current time frame, things were still looking good for Omar. He was improving his game, he was having good seasons, so why didn't he get recruited and what happened next? We're now in the part of our story where things start to take a bumpy path for Omar. Fast forward in time to his junior season, his team, they were good. They had a 20-9 overall record, and in 29 games played, he averaged 9.3 points per game. He also pitched in 6.5 assists and 5 rebounds and 2 steals. His points per game did decrease from his sophomore season, but his assists and everything else increased, so I'd say it was an even better year than his 10th grade year. But this is where the problem starts to come in. When you're a 9th and 10th grader playing on your varsity team and you're trying to get recruited and stuff, nobody's gonna give you slack for only scoring 10 points a game because you're on the younger side. I think for a high school player, your junior season is the year where people can tell if you're gonna be really good or just an average player. It's arguably the biggest year for any high school athlete because you can now start getting recruited and many more things. I said recruited, it's not recruited, but you can now start officially receiving offers. So when you compare their junior seasons, on one hand we had Sharif, who was putting up 25 and 30 piece games like it was nothing, but then you had Omar, who wasn't really known as a scorer but a overall great or good point guard. Omar played the game the right way, and he was a floor general, and I think if it's 10 years ago, he would have been a 3 or 4-star recruit, and colleges would have loved this dude. But the way things are trending, and whether you want to believe this or not, it's up to you, but college coaches, they want kids who can score the ball. They're not looking for point guards that are averaging 10 points per game and 5 assists, because you can find those guys anywhere. But what you can't find is players who can give you 25 to 30 points like it's nothing. The reason these college coaches fell in love with Sharif and not Omar is that Sharif, he was a bucket getter in high school, and he could also pass. But for Omar, he wasn't known as a guy who could go out there and give you 25 every night like Sharif was. These colleges want kids who can score 30 points a game because they don't want them to do that for their college team, but they know if they need a bucket, they can get them that. But what they're going to do at college is teach them how to pass and get assists too and be a great team player. It's way easier to coach a kid who can score the ball because you can teach them all the little things like passing, rebounding, and all the little stuff. But it's harder to develop a guy that's not known as a scorer because that's the hardest thing to do. And Omar, for his junior season, like you can see, he wasn't averaging a lot of points and he wasn't playing as good as his brother. I wouldn't go as too far as to saying he took a backseat in his junior year for his overall game, but he didn't improve it that much. And like I said, I think your junior year when you're a high school athlete, if you're trying to play at the next level, is extremely important. If you're not on college coaches' radar by your junior year, you're going to be in some trouble because they're not looking at seniors. They're looking at sophomores by the next year. That's where things start to become a problem for Omar because it was almost a case where it was too little too late. In his senior year, he did increase his points per game, which was very key to his success. He averaged 13.1 points per game, 5.3 assists, and 4.5 rebounds and 2 steals. And at this time too, he was listed as a 5'9", 165-pound point guard. I think 5'9" was a little short. I'd say he was 5'10", 5'11". I mean, when you look at his numbers, 13 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, that's good. But what isn't so good and so appealing to the coaches is that he's under 6 foot and he's very undersized. Let's be real with ourselves. How many 5'10" point guards is there in high school basketball? I mean, there's gotta be over 400 to 500,000. There was nothing about his game that was extraordinary and excited anybody. And before I made this video, I broke down the film and watched a lot of one-on-one workouts with him, and you can tell he's a really good basketball player, but I don't know if he'd work out at the college level like Sharif did. He's talented and skilled, that's very easy to see, but I think he's less talented than Sharif, and he doesn't have that go-get-it attitude, and he's not that go-getting scorer that most people want. One vital and key piece to this story that a lot of people leave out is that Omar did sustain a bad knee injury. He did have to have surgery on it, and as to how bad it was, I couldn't find out too much information, but it did hold him back. I'm not too sure how much of an impact that had on him trying to play or attempt to play at the next level, but I'm sure it had some. That's the rundown on his high school basketball career, so what's going on with his life now? Is he still trying to hoop or not? I did a lot of digging on this, and unfortunately, I couldn't find any information on his basketball career, but I did find this. Ever since he's graduated from high school, he's posted about 6 pictures on his Instagram, and all of them are non-basketball related, and some of them are with his brother Sharif. In most of his pictures, he's dressed up and got on some fancy suits, and one thing to throw in there is that his dad has his own agency business, and I think Sharif signed to it, so I got a feeling that he may try to take after his father. Since I brought it up, I'll explain some more on that. If you didn't know by now, Sharif and Omar's dad, whose name is also Omar, he's a very successful person and he owns his own sports agency. If you look at his Instagram bio though, he still has athlete in it and process with a ... and a money bag sign. Maybe he just left that athlete in there from earlier, but maybe not. Maybe he's still working out behind the scenes. I don't know. It's very mysterious because he doesn't post anything basketball related on his Instagram, and when he was playing basketball, he was posting a bunch of stuff. And normally you post what you're doing on Instagram or post your hobbies, so if he was still trying to attempt a basketball career, I feel like he'd post some pictures or some workout videos. Maybe he's trying to be really low key about it and not tell people about his next move. That's a possibility. I don't want to say he's given up on his basketball dreams completely. Maybe he's taken a year off and he needs to recover from that surgery he had. Who knows? At the same time, I'm also getting this feeling that he's pursuing other things in life, and I think he's also going to be successful because he's got a great family. I think his dad's going to guide him in the right direction, and even though he's not playing basketball, I can tell he's got a good head on his shoulders. It's still surreal and mind-boggling to me about this whole story because people don't know he exists, and some people want to say that he's not Sharif's real twin brother, and I don't know how you could say that because they post pictures on Instagram. Blows my mind. Let me know what you think about this story down below in the comment section. I'm very curious, and if you know any information on Omar, feel free to DM me on Instagram because I'd like to know. But with all that being said, that's going to wrap up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys learned something. If you're new to the channel, what are you doing? Join the family, hit that subscribe button, and leave a like for more. And as always, let's be great. I'm out, y'all. Peace.